and good morning to all. And at the outset, I'd just like to thank the organisers for giving me a podium to ramble on for a few minutes and talk about an HSC subject that's quite dear to my heart. We're living in the world of technology, and so I'd just like to maybe share some thoughts of my own on how technology can actually maybe help improve our HSC performance. And I'll use Babco as a case study. For those of you that don't know, Babco is the Bahrain Petroleum company. It's the national oil company for the Kingdom of Bahrain. We're not the biggest in the world, but we do have a 265,000 barrel per day refinery, and I have the honour of being the general manager of that refinery. Unfortunately, what you see behind me is the image of the oil and gas industry in the media. This is what it's portrayed as dangerous. The only time you hear about us is when there is an incident. And when it goes bad, it can actually go bad, very badly. And we've heard already some of the panelists talk about the importance of process safety, and that clearly is a topic of interest for many. And I like the words that were mentioned a bit earlier. If we get it wrong, our license to operate is no longer a given. And I think we've seen some examples of that around us. But these sort of incidents indicate to us the need for us to get it right. And when you look through the incident reports, the lessons learned, you know, there are recurring themes. And the way I like to try and summarize it is that there's probably three elements there. The first one being we're having a brain drain. We're losing knowledge and experience. That's impacting also on our vulnerability. Our tolerance for risk is increasing, and that's a real concern for me. There is no doubt our business, the oil and gas business, is a much safer industry than it used to be. The number of incidents, the number of injuries are dramatically lower. And unfortunately, the newer generation, and I'm one of them, we haven't learned the hard way. We haven't seen, we haven't experienced, and that's allowing us to accept a higher level of risk than probably previous generations would have. And on top of that, we're all becoming leaner and meaner and more cost efficient and cost effective. And that's affecting our ability to oversee. Our oversight. And when you have a leaner organization and a newer or less experienced organization, that ability to not have that oversight is clearly impacting and is the cause of process incidents. The technology aspect is there that can actually help us improve the oversight. Us at Babco, as with many of us, or probably the majority of us in this room, is incident and injury-free operation. And whereas maybe 20 years ago we focused on personal safety, most of us now are also focusing on process safety. A reliable facility is a safer facility, and that's proven. So we clearly must link process and personal safety hand in hand. And as was previously said, and I'm repeating the message, it's not for me. It's got to be for the whole organization. Everyone, whether it's our employees, whether it's our contractors, they all have to be on the same train, on the same journey to incident and injury-free performance. Where we're struggling, and this is the theme that we've had at Babco for a couple of years now, and is one of the reasons why we've started down an operational excellence journey, is we need to change the mindset from thinking we're okay to actually knowing it. And it's a very difficult concept to get to grips with. For many years we thought we were okay. We had all the standards, we had all the procedures, we had all the practices in place. And then we started looking at it in a little bit more detail and looking at our effectiveness, and we realized that we probably weren't okay. Our effectiveness wasn't there. And so that's where we've focused a lot of time and effort recently. I mean, as with email, the amount of information that is available to us now as leaders and supervisors and managers is immense. I mean, behind me is a list of just some of the systems that we have in Babco to try and improve our personal and process safety performance. We talked about incident reporting. We've spent a lot of time and effort on getting that right. We have a corrective action system where we track each and every action that's outstanding in the organisation. But that's a huge amount of information. And how do you manage it? So what we've actually recently started a couple of years ago is our dashboard. And it's our window into 17 different databases within the organisation. And it provides real-time, accurate data to everybody. And everybody has access to this. And as you see in a couple of slides, that can actually cause a few tummy jitters, right? Because people are very protective of their own data. What we've said is, and going back to what I said a bit earlier, we have an issue with oversight, and we have an issue with lack of experience. So the theory behind this is, the more eyes, the more people looking at it, must help us. So we have a window. I'm not sure how clear this is. The idea is not really to go through it in any detail, but this is the first screen that I look at every single day. When I'm looking to the refinery, this is my home page, and it gives me access to a wealth of information, and every single one of these numbers and blocks can be clicked, and it will go down to 3 or 4 different levels, providing more and more details if I am interested in looking at it. The dashboard is there to highlight the key issues to us. And we use a traffic light system of greens, yellows and reds to identify which performance indicators are an area of concern. And through this I can have discussions with my leadership team primarily on the reds. We've got to get them back into the yellows and then we'll get the yellows into the greens. But that doesn't mean we don't talk about the greens. We've still got to talk about what's going well. But we definitely so this journey, this window, has created the ability for us to see more of the information, and more importantly, see it in a usable format. So those 17 different databases come through the system. And where we expanded it recently is we rolled this out to the sectional teams around the refinery and made them responsible for the data and made them responsible for the performance. So these teams of operations, maintenance, process, engineering, they get together on a monthly basis and they go through their personalized screens. All of them are the same, but they all have their own data on each screen, and they'll go through it on a monthly basis. And to show you the kind of improvement that is possible, I'd just like to give an example of our management of change journey. When we started this, we had 300 odd management of changes overdue, which came as a real shock to the organisation. And that was one of the real benefits of going down this project, was it made available to us information that we had no idea was there. And so we had to start asking ourselves some questions. Why on earth in this organisation did we have 300 odd management of changes overdue? And you can see here in the second half of 2012, when XHQ was launched, we started having those questions. We started having those discussions. And then when we launched the sectional meeting, where we got the sectional teams to look at it, the numbers came down to the 20s. And now I can have a meaningful discussion on those 10 risks. Today we have 10 issues. I can actually have a real discussion on them. 300 would have been too much to have a discussion about. And that's getting that change in mindset from thinking we were okay 2 years ago to hopefully we're now on the way to knowing we're okay. And another example is the safety work orders. We thought we were okay, right? If you ask anybody in your organisation how many safety work orders do you have open, we told ourselves, everything's under control. Well, we didn't have it under control. We do now. Because on a daily basis we were having that discussion through our dashboard to question people, why on earth do we have a safety work order that is open? So really, just to summarise, the technology is there to help us improve both our personal and process safety performance. We need to have visibility of data. We need to have visibility of information. And the dashboard that we've shown there is really just one of our examples of how we can actually try and get more people aware of what's going on in the organization. The key issue here is, and since we're in a leadership discussion, is this can't be just another piece of software. At the top, we've got to live it and learn it. And I can tell you from personal experience, having the discussions with my team, saying, I saw this in the dashboard, what do you think? Made them open the dashboard every morning and made sure that their house was in order before I started asking any questions. So the technology is there to help us mitigate the risk, and it also improves the quality of the data. As you can see there with the management of change and work orders, a lot of that wasn't open, it was just that the cycle of the process hadn't been completed. So going through that process has significantly improved our performance. Did we spend some money? Yes. Has it saved some money? Most definitely. Because it will reduce the possibility of a process incident. The process incident LPOs far outweigh any dollars that we might spend on systems like this. And what we say at Babco, it's the right thing to do. And we always must do the right thing. Thank you for your time and attention, and I wish everybody a fruitful few days at this conference. Thank you very much.